present yourself and explain a little bit if you were a mentor or mentee?
Sure. I'm Katarina. I was a mentee. 4 months ago, I was trying to make one of the biggest career transitions of my life. And yeah, I had joined the program just to have someone kind of guide me through that and help me make the right decisions when it came to like getting offers and figuring all that out.
Hi, I'm Polly. I was a mentor. I'm a UX designer for about 5 years, and yeah, at work I kind of want to advance slowly, so I wanted to try to be a mentor to also offer help where I can from my experience, and also to start to have a more structured way of mentoring people or giving advice also to other designers in my job, so kind of a self-development as well as a mentor.
All right, Dimitri Hoekstra. I work in the UX field for about 4 years as well. 2 years of those are at GitLab, which is a company for mostly development product. I joined this program as a mentor, mainly because I was interested if I could do that, if I could apply my knowledge in a different way, just not for myself, only for myself, but also to help other people achieve their goals, and perhaps also to see, I don't know, to get another perspective on your own knowledge, see if it checks out. I've had quite a lot of fun, I have to say.
Okay, great. So I think it's a good idea to refer to Roxana's question that what makes or breaks the mentorship programs. What are your thoughts about that?
My mentee was Viva, one of the organizers. Yeah, she was very sweet. So I had a similar experience to what you were mentioning, kind of. So in the beginning, I thought, hey, I have to become really prepared. I have to make a list. I have to set milestones. I have to show presentations and be like very teacher, like you said. And then at the first meeting, I figured out this is probably not going to work because the conversation was a lot more fluid and was a lot more about talking to each other, giving her the space to talk about what she needs. And sometimes it can feel very hectic as a mentor because a lot of things come up and you think, I'm not sure how we're going to measure this or set milestones, but I mean, it's okay. So in the end, having the more coaching and listening approach really worked. We didn't even write down anything from the meetings. It was more like each session she would talk, again, show me things, I would give advice, share my knowledge. Yeah, something a lot more fluid. And I think I became comfortable with that style along the way. So,
yeah. I agree with that. Like coming from the mentee perspective, like I think the mentors that I found through this program, what they all had in common, they were just available. Yeah. Like whenever, over like Slack or WhatsApp or whatever it was. Like I would message and instantly they'd be there. One of them even, like I was negotiating my contract and I felt like I was coming up against some like cultural things. He left his meeting in the middle of the day and like took my call and was like, okay, walk me through it. So it's just being available, and I think it's such a universal quality, but like obviously the empathy I think that they brought to it was key.
Yeah, I think I had the opportunity to have a great role model to take on as to guide me through this mentorship, as I have a lot of respect for my own manager in my own company, and as this was mostly a remote kind of coaching mentorship, I could take a lot of, like, I handled it the same way as I am being managed in my own company, which like I don't have a teaching experience with my own manager, but it is very much a counseling experience. What I think, or at least what I think is different from what I've heard until now, is the structural thing of the meetings I had with my mentees. Is I'm a person who, I know, if something is out of my mind, it's out of my mind, and I'll get back to it when I get back to it. In the sort of, I can be in that sort of nothing box, and nothing gets in there until I see it again. So for my own experience, I really like to write things down, and then write the decisions down, and when I come back to them next time, they're all there, and we can discuss them. And that way, I feel that the meetings I have done with my mentees were a bit more structured, perhaps for myself, but I also felt that it in some way, not necessarily pushed, but a little pushed towards the mentees, like, hey, remember, we decided on this, see if you can reach that goal for the next time you meet. It isn't like mandatory, but it's like, it's a motivational kind of thing.
So from what I hear, you had more of a structured
A little bit.
type of relationship.
Yeah.
So I guess it's also a little bit about having a click with the person, because
Maybe a personality thing as well. On both sides.
Yeah.
Right? So
Maybe it also depends on the experience. Were they juniors or seniors?
That depends, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel that Shami was my mentee. I don't feel she is junior, but at the same time, she's trying to learn in a certain thing, and this mentorship is new for the both of us. So how are we going to do this? And I think I set the pace for how we were going to do this because I already had an example to take that from. So it was, and it felt right. I think that is the main thing.
Cool. So during these 3 months, I'm sure there were times where you have issues or you felt that something was not working out very well. Can you share a bit of the challenge that you had?
I think I'll begin this time. I had two mentees. I'll begin with Charmy. I think we had a great time. At some point, I know that a bit more preparation, perhaps from my side, was nice. Because at some point we were like looking for like what is the next thing we're gonna do, and I felt that like I don't know, at least for like 1 or 2 weeks we're in this kind of uncertain spot. Like, hey, we have this energy, but where are we gonna put this? And in the end, it went all right, and we got to something really interesting, which is I think pretty nice. But I think like it's an investment from both, and in that sense, I also feel that the mentor should put in the effort. And for my other mentee, I know that she at some point didn't have enough time to dedicate towards the mentorship, and that way put a pause for that. She asked me for in the future to help her out with future work, but that's still on hold, which I'm fine with, but it's like it's getting beyond the 3-month limit of the mentorship. I'm feeling that I'm going on a bit of a tangent, so I'm just gonna push it through.
Well, we didn't have a lot of difficult points, but I did have the same experience where actually we both were busy for about a month and we couldn't really meet, but still made an effort to message each other and make sure that she's working on what she wanted to. She was building her portfolio at that time. So I think she even shared it with me during that time, even though we didn't meet. So we still tried to stay in contact. But then we just kind of prolonged the mentorship a bit, just so we can feel like, hey, we completed something, and so we can meet again. The rest was good.
Yeah, I think on my end, the only thing I would change is like setting more goals, I think, because my goal was just to get a job, which I thought was going to be a big thing, but then I got the job and I was like, oh, well, I'm here. And then I just started working, and then I look back and I'm like, I probably could have done more projects, like the cool ones you guys showed, so next time.
And during mentorship programs, we always talk about that mentees can learn a lot with these kind of programs, but it's also a learning process for mentors. So what are your main learnings with this?
Give the first word.
Well, I was not in
Yeah, she was
Ah.
mentee.
Uh, so, although it was very chaotic, as I said, and it did flow as a more coaching experience, I guess, or just a talkative kind of session, I learned that I should be more structured when I do things like this. And I'm actually also trying to just apply it in general to my work. So, for example, when I work, I don't have one place where I even write my notes. I jump between my computer and sometimes I scribble stuff down on paper. So now I'm trying to actually have a notebook and write everything down and stuff like that. And I also learn a bit from people at work. So I have more senior designers that I kind of, not a mentorship, but kind of they're mentoring me. So yeah, I learned from them about being more structured in general. And kind of like what you said about having these notes that you go back to. So from each session, you can remember, oh, we talked about this, what happened here. So just that.
Yeah, and I think at some point, like the mentorship gives you an opportunity to test the knowledge that you did not know about that you were missing. For example, in my field, I'm less about performing UX research, more about like using UX research results in order to create something. And at least with Charmy, she was interested in UX research, so I had to, up my game on that part. And I was very lucky to actually be able to ask a colleague of mine who is in lead UX research at GitLab. Asked her to help us out and see if we were doing fine, like what were her thoughts about it, and she actually agreed to a meeting and proposed like, hey, let's do a heuristic evaluation. Let's see if we can combine it with a competitive analysis. And we're still a little bit in that process, but it ended up in a really interesting direction. And I think from my perspective, I'm learning quite a bit on that as well. So yeah, and it was interesting on the other point of like, as I said before, I have an example with my manager. She does a great job, and now I could be a little bit in her position as well and feel how that side works and like, I don't know, get familiar with it. I think that's a learning experience on itself.
And for you, Katarina, as a mentee, your main learnings?
It's a really tough one. I think for me it was just like being more structured about it and like setting more structured goals. Because even like the getting a job one is really broad. I mean, part of that was putting together a portfolio and everything, which Anna helped me with. But I think like going into something like this with more structure and like maybe even like KPI sort of thing would be good.
Okay. And then one of the main questions that we got when we launched the mentorship program is how much time it would take if I decide to be a mentor or a mentee, and how I will manage that, because most of us have full-time jobs and the other ones are studying, so they are also very busy as well. How do you manage your time and align the time that you have with the mentee or the mentor's time?
For us it was kind of easy because we lived close by, so we would just meet and have coffee, which is also just fun. So we met every 2 weeks-ish, kind of, something like that. And yeah, and then we also WhatsApped on if she needed some kind of advice, right now.
Same, I think a lot of it was digital. Like in the beginning it was in-person meetings and she lived nearby, but I think after that a lot of my questions, if I ever had doubts or anything, a lot of it was just over the phone, and it worked well.
I did the same on, but using Hangouts or Zoom or Skype, whatever you want to call it, a video call. Did it the same way as I do in my company, because my company is a remote-only company, so it's not different from what I do daily at work. Every day I have 3 or 4 calls at minimum, and this was another call. So in that sense, I think we tried to meet up at least once a week. It's not always the case, but let's say on average at least every another week, so every other week. And of course a little bit more time comes in beyond that, because sometimes you need to the decisions you made the week before, you sometimes need to act on those, and sometimes it takes half an hour, sometimes it takes 10 minutes, or sometimes it takes an hour to get done what you decided to do that. So I would say at least an hour every week, and perhaps a little bit more. That would be the time that I would say that is the minimum required for doing mentorship.
Okay, cool. Then another big issue, especially for mentees, is setting the goals, because especially it's better if they can set the goals before starting the mentorship program. And a lot of mentees struggle with that, but it's true that mentors can help with that. For example, as Suzanne explained that she changed the goals completely along the way. So maybe what do you think that how a mentor can help once the mentorship program starts to refine those goals to get the most out of it?
Tough question. For me, I think I always, and again, this is just coming from above, but I think being iterative in everything you do is pretty important. You can set goals, but like they can diverge when you get there, right? But as long as you, discuss your goals every week, like, hey, for example, how we structured it is, okay, we have 3 months, let's divide it in 3 and see for the first month where we want to go. And after that first month was over, there was a little bit of cleanup time for the first objective, and then we needed to define that second objective. And not every week went well, right? Like sometimes we delivered a little bit less than the week after, which was a lot of work which was delivered, which meant we were ahead again. And it doesn't, like as long as we get there to some extent, I think we are doing a good job, and in that sense we could adjust a little bit if something else became more interesting than we thought in the beginning it would be.
For us it was more iterative, like kind of more like session to session, a bit changing. So in the beginning we had a huge bucket list of like, I want to know more about UX in general, how to do it right, about UX research, about career advice, about maybe building my portfolio. So it was a lot of things. And then just each week we kind of focus more on something. So fluid kind of goals. So for example, I would share something about UX research, and then next week, next meeting, she would implement something at work, see if this was helpful, and get back to me in the next meeting. So it was more like, fluid.
Mm-hmm. And you, Katrina, you have your own goal that was looking for a job, but then you refine it along the way, or be more specific, or?
Yeah, I guess, like looking back, I think we could have been a bit more like, okay, but once you get the job, like what's going to happen next probably would have been good. So I think that next time.
Maybe one of the mentees wants to share something related to the goals, what they help them to set those goals, or if they change them along the way or something.
I can share something. So I had a general idea of what I wanted to achieve, but we just went along with, things that I wanted to implement at work. So my goal kind of reflected back into the challenge for a batch of 2 weeks. What did I want to achieve or implement? And that's where I felt like me having a plan was super important for, the amount of value that I could get also from meeting with Anushka for coffee, because there's only an hour and a half where you want to make the most of it. So I think for me it was not as much a plan as preparation, just wanting to do stuff.
Okay. And then when the mentorship program starts, we always have, of course, the first meeting, either in person or a call. And I was a mentee, and for me it was kind of a difficult thing, because you have to break the ice, you have to get to know the person more in a personal level. So your goals and the mentorship program itself is not that important, because you need to know if that person is the right person to be a mentee and a mentor. And I feel like in these kind of meetings, it's better if the mentor can lead some way, somehow this conversation or start the conversation at least. So what was your approach in this case?
Well, yeah, the first meeting we met, a lot of the beginning was icebreaker and like getting to know each other, which is nice. And then, well, I let Viva kind of talk about herself, her experience, where she's at, what she wants to achieve. And then from that I can learn what I can actually give to her. And then I explain about my background and kind of what I can give to her based on what I heard. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. The first meeting, I met up with both my mentees in real life, so not everything is remote and video calls. I think that's pretty nice, right? To meet up in real life and have a drink together and share a moment of your time, like away from the computer. One of them was in Rotterdam, and one of them was in Amsterdam. So that was both really doable. I think for the rest of the time it was nice to do it remote. We met up at least once or twice because that was just easily to do. We were in the neighborhood or something like you described, I believe. But yeah, like I think beyond just like throughout the mentorship, I think we stayed through on the goals, but like the way that we got there, I know, went a bit, went on a tangent, but came back in the end. Like it's still going through to the same direction. In a way. I'm thinking Dutch here, so.
For you, Katarina, it's from a mentee point of view, so maybe. For the first meeting, what was for you? Was more get to know that person in a personal level, or?
Yeah, well, we met here actually, so like at the first event, so I feel like we kind of broke the ice there, and she was in a little group with the table, what was that activity? There were some kind of questions, and that's where I met like two other people as well, and so that really helped actually. So like definitely in the future do an activity like that, and then if like you're with your mentor, then yeah, the next time we met we were like already friends.
Ah,
yeah.
that's really good to know. And then another important point is to have a kind of a follow-up. So you meet your mentor or mentee once in 2 weeks or once in a month. It really depends. But then you have to keep track of that conversation, the learners especially also for the mentees. And for example, in my case, I have a document with my mentor, and we both wrote down things. But I know that there are different approaches. So maybe you have a more informal way or more structured way of having a follow-up and make sure that the mentees are learning and with the program.
Yeah, for me, I think I already explained. It was pretty structural in Google Doc, which we both could edit. So I think the upside on that, and which I noticed myself as well, is that even if you're if it's not the meeting itself, and you're, I know, some day throughout your week, you're like, I want to discuss this thing. You open up the document, you put it in, and then you can't forget it again. Like, it's so nice to do that.
Yeah, I already mentioned I was not so structured. We tried to do the documenting the same in the first meeting and maybe the second, and then kind of like forgot where David lives. But I would definitely do that approach. I think it has some benefits too.
I'll send next time.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
Or something to add?
I was thinking because you were talking about more like a consultant kind of role, and then you were mentioning more in a structured role. But I think it's maybe based on the mentee, and then see where your goal is from. If it's more long term, for example, for me, it's more like a long term stuff, but it's really hard to say out. Actually, I'm already a very stronger personality, and so maybe it's more like perfecting what I'm doing. So in that sense, but if your goal is like to find a job and maybe create your portfolio, then maybe to set like a weekly meetup, then it's more on that approach. But I guess it's not like it depends on the situation and what the mentee needs.
Yeah, I actually agree with her. Like I
I understand that I was very structured by my mentor. Like, she's the best, and she couldn't be here today. So even though I was so structured and everything, she had a very fluid approach. Like she wasn't like a teacher or anything. She was just there. And I remember, and she travels a lot. She would call me from different country and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she would spend 30 minutes on the phone, on Skype. She is amazing. And she was like, she just let me be. Like, she wasn't like pressurizing me, okay, this is what you want to achieve, are you there yet, or anything. She was like, do what you can. If you want to do it, do it. If not, not. Like, some week, I remember we would just chat and not do anything. It's like, in the end, I'm like, oh, I have to finish up. The mentorship is ending, oh my god, and then just give up. But in the beginning, it was like, very casual thing. And we met like 5, 6, like the first time I met her, I invited her, we spent like 5, 6 hours just talking about what we want to achieve together. And it just immediately clicked. So I think it's just more about the bonding and having the balance between a structured and that fluidity.
Yeah, I think that like what you say is like it's true, right? Like it depends on the mentee and the mentor. But I think also the goal is pretty important in that, because some goals from some mentees may be more, up in the air. Like, hey, I want to get better at soft skills, or I want to get better at like improving myself in a certain way. And some things are more like objective based, like getting a job. I want to get my portfolio ready. I want to, that is more result focused. And in that way, in trying to, it shouldn't be like we have to, but trying to reach that goal, I think, in like going from my own experience, because you need a starting point to start off from, is like, okay, how are we gonna get ourselves to actually, push for some results in that direction. In that sense, I felt that the structure was kind of helping in a way. But it certainly shouldn't be a have to, and it should always be an optional thing, right? Like, if we have time, if we have the energy, then we can do this, and we should at least in some way dedicate ourselves to it. But it shouldn't be a have to.
Yeah.
Any question maybe from the people that are not in the mentorship program? Something that you want to learn or know how it works? Curiosity?
Would you do it again if you participated now, either as a mentee or a mentor?
For
What
sure.
should we do?
That's great, right?
Well, that's really great to know.
So it's fair to say you guys going to continue with the mentorship?
We want to, but we don't have a fixed date. So, but yeah, we really want to continue with the second round of the program. So.
I think that was a discussion or a question everybody.
Then we can move forward then to the last part, which is, do you have more questions?
No, I just want to thank everyone in the panel and
Yeah, it was really nice discussion and talk.